Marx's surplus value and exploitation. Karl Marx is one of the most well-known thinkers in the history of sociology and economics. His ideas about how society works, especially in terms of economics, have influenced countless debates, movements, and academic studies. One of his central ideas revolves around the concept of surplus value and how it ties to exploitation in a capitalist society. While these ideas may seem complex at first, they are actually quite simple when broken down. Let us dive into them in a way that everyone can understand. First, we need to think about the process of work and how things are made. Imagine a factory where workers create products like shoes, phones, or furniture. These products are eventually sold in the market for money. According to Marx, the process of creating and selling these products does not simply happen in a fair or equal way under capitalism. Instead, there is a system of inequality built into it. This is where surplus value comes into play. To understand surplus value, we need to think about how value is created. For Marx, value comes from the work that people do. A worker's labor adds value to the raw materials, turning them into something useful and sellable. For example, leather, rubber, and thread become valuable shoes because of the work put in by the shoemaker. But here is the catch: the worker does not receive the full value of what they produce. Under capitalism, the business owner, or what Marx called the capitalist, pays the worker a wage. This wage is meant to cover the worker's basic needs, like food, housing, and clothing. However, the wage is often much less than the value the worker has added to the product. The difference between the value the worker creates and the wage they receive is what Marx calls surplus value. Let us break this down further with a simple example. Imagine a worker is paid $10 an hour to make a product, and in that hour, the product they create is sold for $50. The worker has created $50 worth of value, but they only receive $10 as their wage. The remaining $40 is surplus value, which goes to the capitalist as profit. For Marx, this process of taking surplus value from workers is the core of exploitation in capitalism. The capitalist does not produce anything themselves but still benefits from the labor of workers. The capitalist owns the factory, the tools, and the materials, and because of this ownership, they get to keep the surplus value. The worker, on the other hand, only owns their ability to work, which they must sell to the capitalist in order to survive. This relationship between workers and capitalists creates a system where the rich get richer, and workers are often stuck in the same position or worse. The capitalist uses surplus value to expand their business, invest in new ventures, or simply live a luxurious life, while the worker's wage remains low and their working conditions may not improve. Marx argued that this system is not just unfair but also unsustainable. Over time, as capitalists seek to maximize their profits, they might try to lower wages, make workers work longer hours, or replace them with machines. These practices can lead to further exploitation and create tensions between workers and capitalists. Another important point Marx makes is about alienation. Workers in a capitalist system often feel disconnected from the products they create, the process of their work, and even from their fellow workers. When you spend your days making products you do not own or control, it can feel like you are just a small part of a machine rather than a person with creative potential. This sense of alienation, combined with exploitation, can lead to frustration and dissatisfaction among workers. Marx believed that this system of surplus value and exploitation was at the heart of many of the problems in society, including inequality and poverty. He saw capitalism as a system that prioritizes profit over people, and he argued that it needed to be replaced with a system where workers collectively own and control the means of production. In such a system, the value created by work would be shared fairly among everyone, rather than concentrated in the hands of a few capitalists. While Marx wrote about these ideas in the 19th century, many people argue that they are still relevant today. When we hear about issues like income inequality, unfair wages, or poor working conditions, we can see echoes of Marx's critique of capitalism. His concept of surplus value helps us understand why these problems persist and how they are connected to the way our economic system is structured. In conclusion, Marx's ideas about surplus value and exploitation give us a powerful way to think about the relationship between workers and capitalists in a capitalist society. They highlight the inequalities built into the system and challenge us to imagine a world where work is valued fairly, and everyone can benefit from the wealth they help create. If you enjoyed this explanation and found it helpful, please give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment to share your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel for more content on sociology, economics, and philosophy. Your support helps us bring more engaging and educational videos to you. Thank you for watching.